A teenage girl was stopped from taking her first-class seat because the flight crew assumed she didn't belong. But what they didn't know was who her father was. And when he arrived, everything changed. Stay tuned to see how this unbelievable story unfolds. Before we jump in, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and let us know in the comments where you're watching from. If you're already subscribed, thank you. We truly appreciate your support. Now, let's get into the story. Ella Martinez clutched her boarding pass, her heart racing with excitement as she made her way through the bustling airport terminal. Today was different from all her previous flights. This time, she wasn't heading to economy class. Her father, Luis, had surprised her with a first-class ticket for her 16th birthday, a reward for maintaining straight A's throughout the semester. "You've earned this, Mia," he had said this morning, his eyes twinkling with pride. "I'll join you on the plane shortly after my business meeting. Remember what I always tell you, hold your head high and walk with confidence." Now, standing in the priority boarding line, Ella smoothed down her favorite jeans and adjusted her plain white t-shirt. Around her, business travelers in suits tapped away on their phones, while well-dressed couples chatted quietly. A few cast curious glances her way, but Ella remembered her father's words and stood tall. "First boarding group, now boarding," announced the gate agent. Ella stepped forward with her group, presenting her boarding pass. The gate agent did a double take but scanned it anyway, and Ella walked down the jet bridge, her carry-on rolling behind her. The first-class cabin gleamed with luxury. Ella found her seat, 2A, a window seat, and carefully stored her backpack underneath. She was just settling into the plush leather seat when a shadow fell over her. "Excuse me." The flight attendant, whose name tag read Rachel, stood with her hands on her hips. "I believe you might be in the wrong seat. This is first class." Ella's cheeks grew warm. "No, this is my seat. Here's my boarding pass." She held out the document, but Rachel barely glanced at it. "Are you sure you didn't get confused? Economy boarding hasn't started yet." Rachel's voice carried through the cabin, causing other passengers to turn and stare. "I'm not confused," Ella said firmly, though her voice quivered slightly. "My dad bought me this ticket for my birthday, seat 2A. An older businessman across the aisle scoffed. "These mix-ups happen all the time, Rachel. Perhaps you should escort her back." Ella's eyes stung with tears, but she blinked them away. A kind-looking grandmother in 1C watched the scene unfold with concern, but remained silent. "I need to see some ID," Rachel demanded, her tone growing increasingly hostile. "And your parents' contact information." Just then, a warm voice cut through the tension. "Is there a problem here?" Ella turned to see Marco Chen, one of her father's business partners, standing in the aisle. She had met him at several company picnics, and relief flooded through her at the sight of a familiar face. "Mr. Chen," Ella said gratefully. "Ella, what a pleasant surprise." Marco's friendly smile turned serious as he addressed Rachel. "Is everything all right?" Rachel straightened her uniform. "Sir, I'm just ensuring everyone is in their correct seats." "Ah, I see." Marco nodded understanding. "Well, I can vouch for Ella. She's Luis Martinez's daughter, one of our company's senior executives. He mentioned he was treating her to first class today." Rachel's face flushed red, but she persisted. "I still need to see some identification. It's protocol." Ella reached for her school ID just as another voice boomed from the front of the cabin. "Actually, what you need to do is apologize to my daughter." Luis Martinez stood in the aisle, his presence commanding attention. He wore his usual business suit, but there was nothing usual about the steel in his eyes as he surveyed the scene before him. The silence in the first-class cabin was deafening. Luis Martinez's presence seemed to fill the entire space as he walked purposefully toward his daughter. Rachel, the flight attendant, took an instinctive step backward. "Dad," Ella said softly, relief washing over her face. Luis placed a gentle hand on Ella's shoulder before turning to face Rachel. His voice was calm but carried an unmistakable weight. "I'd like to understand why my daughter is being harassed about her right to sit in a seat that I purchased for her birthday." Rachel's professional demeanor faltered. "Sir, I was just following." "Following what exactly?" Luis interrupted, his eyebrows raised. "Because I've been flying first class for 15 years, and I've never once been asked to prove I belonged here." He gestured to his expensive suit. "Is it because I look the part?" The businessman who had scoffed earlier suddenly became very interested in his phone. The grandmother in 1C cleared her throat and spoke up. I should have said something sooner. The way this young lady was treated was absolutely shameful. Marco Chen nodded in agreement. Unfortunately, this happens far too often. Luis surveyed the cabin, making eye contact with several passengers. My daughter earned this seat through hard work and academic excellence. But you know what? She shouldn't have to explain that. No one should have to justify their presence or prove their worth based on how they look or what they wear. A young woman in business attire spoke up from her seat. He's right. I sat here watching and said nothing. I'm sorry. Rachel's face had turned a deep shade of red. Mr. Martinez, I sincerely apologize to both you and your daughter. My behavior was unprofessional and prejudiced. I made assumptions I had no right to make. Luis nodded acknowledgement but turned his attention to Ella. Mija, would you like to switch seats? I can take the window. Ella sat up straighter, her chin lifting slightly. No, Dad. I love the window seat. And this is mine. I earned it. A proud smile spread across Luis's face as he took his seat beside her. Other passengers began boarding the plane, unaware of the drama that had just unfolded. Rachel avoided their row, sending another flight attendant, James, to handle their section of the cabin. As the plane took off, the grandmother in 1C, who introduced herself as Mrs. Dorothy Wilson, turned around to chat with Ella. Your father taught you well, dear. It takes courage to maintain dignity in the face of prejudice. Thank you, Ella replied, feeling more confident by the minute. My dad always says that how others treat you shows their character, not yours. Throughout the flight, Ella enjoyed every moment of the first-class experience. James provided impeccable service, bringing her a warm cookie that filled the cabin with the scent of chocolate and offering her a selection of movies on the personal entertainment system. During a quiet moment, Luis turned to his daughter. I'm sorry you had to experience that, Ella, but I'm incredibly proud of how you handled yourself. I remembered what you always tell me about belonging wherever I am, Ella said, then hesitated. But Dad, it hurt. For a moment, I actually felt like maybe I didn't belong here. Luis took her hand. That's exactly why I wanted you to have this experience, Mia. And that wraps up our story. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to our channel. Your support keeps us motivated to create more amazing content. We'd love to hear your thoughts, so drop a comment below. We read and reply to everyone. See you in the next video. Until then, take care and stay safe. Bye for now.